You guys had the largest church plant launch in New England, right?
Our story is really interesting. We did launch parties. We made our announcement in August and we started doing launch parties in September, every single month. Our first launch party was at a coffee shop and 50 people showed up at our first launch party. Social media was a huge aspect to our church. We made sure that our videos were clean. We wanted to make sure our branding and things were really locked in. That's gonna be their first impression. We had to make sure we came in clean, crisp, excellent, creative, all the things. From those 50, some of them joined the church immediately and they became part of our launch team. The next launch party we had, 100 people showed up. What we did is we took the first 50 and they started helping us make phone calls. We were meeting everybody every week, whether it's Zoom calls, coffee shops. I was trying to see their leadership potential, and that's how our team began to be built. We did that for September, October, November. December was when everything blew up. We did a Christmas party, 150 people showed up. People were bringing their friends, people were dressing up. That night, 60 people additionally joined our team. So we kept on going. We were meeting every Sunday, more vision, more training. We grew our launch team to over 200 people for our launch day. We launched on April 6th and 1,000 people showed up.
Welcome back to the Church Candy Podcast. Today, I'm sitting down with my friend, Pastor Robe Pier from Freedom City Church in Hartford, Connecticut. Man, welcome to Texas.
Yeah, this Texas heat's no joke.
Bro, completely different climate.
No joke. Than New England.
Dude, literally,
Connecticut.
I was just telling him before we pressed record, I am flying to your neck of the woods in like 2 weeks for like a little getaway.
Bring a winter coat. Bring a North Face.
Yes, dude. Yes. But man, I'm pumped about it. Man, Freedom City has just blown up. You guys had one of, if not the largest, like church plant launch in New England, right?
Yeah, man, it's crazy. It is crazy. We launched on April 6th and 1,000 people showed up, and we're still catching up. We're still in awe of all that God is doing. 3 months later, here we are. But God's been good.
Is it crazy just like having a dream and a vision of like God putting on your heart to plant a church, and then launch Sunday shows up and you see like 1,000 people in a room?
Right, because I don't know if anybody else is like this. Like for the longest time, I was like, nobody's coming. Like we're doing this, no one is coming, and we're putting forth all the work. And it's not until kind of like the day of I turn around, and I'm like, oh man, like people are here. Like it's our story is really really interesting. I mean, we're not from Hartford, Connecticut. We're from Boston, my wife and I.
So was that like 3 hours or so?
2 hours, give or take, where it could be an hour and a half. And so my wife and I, we heard from the Lord, prayed really in January of 2024. I kept having these like reoccurring dreams of a group of people at an altar, raising their hands, crying out to the Lord. And I thought that I was like, I was serving at a church. I was the XP at Jubilee Christian Church in Boston.
Yeah.
Amazing church. And so what ended up happening, I thought it was like, oh man, I'm about to preach this sermon, this dream God is speaking to me about this altar. And it wouldn't happen. I would keep having these dreams over and over and over again. And it happened for like 3 months straight, waking up like at 3:30 in the morning. Finally, I was like, okay, I need to kind of like, focus on this and pray and ask God what this is about. And the Lord was just like, I have a church for you to plant. And I was like, that was not expected. So here's the thing. We lived in Mass. We had just bought a house a year prior to that date. And it was like the biggest house our family has ever seen. Both my wife and I were in full-time ministry. Our kids were at one of the best schools in the state. We were settled. We were good. We were good. And God's like, nope, I got something else for you to do. And I was like, well, God, if that's what you're saying, you got to speak to my wife and you got to speak to my pastors, because we were at a healthy church, incredible church. Our pastors are incredibly amazing. And I prayed that prayer on a Friday. And then on Sunday, I preached. And then I get home and my wife gets a DM from somebody. And I was like, hey, Pastor Mima, what's going on? Like, you don't know me, but I go to your church. And I just woke up from this dream and the Lord uses me in dreams. I don't know if this is going to mean anything to you and your husband, but the Lord showed me that you're going to plant a church and it's not in Massachusetts.
That's
This was
crazy.
2 days later. I still have the screenshot of the DM that my wife received.
What's crazy about that is like I'll meet Christians and people that are like involved in ministry that you tell them like, oh yeah, like we work with a lot of church planters. They don't even know the term church planting.
Right.
Like they don't, that's not even like a concept to the
Exactly.
layperson that's not like in full-time ministry, you know what I
Exactly.
mean? So the fact that she had that dream, like
48 hours
Yeah.
later. And for me, it was like, when I got home, my wife was like, look at this message that I just got. And I was just like, this is kind of crazy, because I was holding that from her, because I'm like, Lord, if you really want this, like, speak to her.
Yeah.
Like, speak to her about it. It won't be about me. Like, you're going to speak to her.
And all the husbands in the chat said, amen. Because like, I'm right there with you.
Yeah.
There's so many opportunities and things where I'm like, all right, God, if this is you, I don't
take care of it.
I don't need to, you gotta talk to my wife first.
Exactly.
Because
so when she showed me that text, I was like, yo, this is what I've been praying on. I showed her journal entries I've been writing in prayer. Like, this is kind of like what the Lord's been showing me. And it's crazy that you're seeing this. And so that moment, it was as if like the floodgates opened over us. What I mean by that is like there was nowhere we went where it wasn't a conversation about church planting.
So this was still in like early 2024?
Early 2024. Like, we would go to the mall and people were like, y'all got your own church? Like, strangers coming to us, family members, like, would call us randomly, saying like, yo, man, you guys got your own church? What's the plan for your church? What's going on? And I'm like, yo, what is going on? Like, it was just, I mean, people we haven't talked to in 10 years. Friends would randomly call us like, hey, I saw a picture of you online the other day. It looks like God is birthing something new. And it was not like it wasn't even we were soliciting this. It was just like from everywhere. So it got to a point where like, okay, we got to submit this to our pastors. Let's see what the Lord's saying. We submitted to them. And they were like, you got to follow what the Lord is saying. If this is what God's saying, you got to follow. They blessed us. And so my wife went on Amazon and bought a map, because we had no idea where we were going.
Yeah.
Like, this wasn't a plan. This wasn't like, part of anything. We wanted to be in Boston all of our lives. And so what ended up happening is that she bought a map, she put it in our prayer room, and she said, okay, where are we going? Where are we planting this? And about like in 45 minutes, we realized, no, we're called to New England. Born and raised in New England. We met in the local church. My wife and I have been together since we were teenagers. We're high school sweethearts. We've been serving New England. We went to BC, did ministry there, serving the local church. And so we were like, no, God's calling us to New England. Like, we ride hard for New England. And so then it became about what made sense for our family, and then what God is saying. So my wife prayed and she was like, I have a good feeling about Connecticut. And I was feeling Connecticut more on a practical level because of our family. The education is really good. We have 3 little ones. And there's a lot of colleges there. We have Grace for college campuses. We've done college ministry. And it felt not too far from home, but also like close enough that we could still be connected to our loved ones and family. So literally we realized, okay, there's a commonality here. We're like, let's go to Connecticut for a weekend. Let's go to all the major cities and see what the Lord will do. So we packed up and we said, let's start in Hartford. That's the capital, closest to us. Let's go there. We got to Hartford and we never left. We didn't even make it to Bridgeport. We didn't even make it to we just fell in love with that city. We fell in love with the potential. We fell in love with the people, the diversity. We fell in love with the need. There was a need that we felt like, man, God had brought us through all that he's brought us through, possibly for this city. It's just that we have mental health background. My wife has a public health background. Ministry, when we saw the need in the homeless community in Hartford, when we saw the need for young families that are moving and things like that in the city. So we were like, this feels really, really good. But here's where it gets crazy, Brady. Here's where it gets really, really crazy. We finish and we get on a plane. We're going to a conference in Alabama. All right. We were going to ARC conference in Alabama. Yeah. And so we get on the plane. My wife and I was like, okay, so how do you feel? I was like, Hartford is nice. Hartford is nice. But like, if we're going to pack up everything, if we're going to sell our house, if we're going to move, then God's going to have to speak way louder than this. We're saying this on the plane. And then we were like, yeah, like we're in agreement. Like, God, if this is Hartford, you're going to have to speak
some
loud.
confirmation.
So we get to ARC conference. You've been to ARC conference, like 2,000 pastors there. Huge. It was at Church at the Highlands. Huge conference. And we're hanging out with some of our friends from around the nation and stuff. And in the middle of the lobby, Somebody's like, hey, yo, Pastor Robe, what's going on from Boston? No idea who this guy is. No idea. He comes up to me and he's like, man, I've been following you guys for years. I love your ministry. I saw when you guys were doing young adult ministry at Jubilee, and I would drive 2 hours to your services to attend.
Wow.
All that. He's saying this to us, and I'm like, oh, this is awesome, man. Thank you. Nice to meet you, etc. Right? Like, you know how pastors do, like, oh, bless you, all this stuff, right?
Yeah.
So I asked him, I'm like, are you a church planter? He's like, oh, we're thinking about it. You know, we're praying about it. We don't necessarily know. And I was like, okay, cool. Where are you planting? This man tells me Hartford, Connecticut. This is how crazy it is. We just got off the plane and said, God, if you want to speak to us, if you want us in Hartford, let us know. First time at our conference. We've never been to our conference before. In the lobby of 2,000 people stretched out, this guy sees us and he says he's planting. I was so shocked, Brady, I didn't even tell him we just came from Hartford. Because I was like, what are the odds? So I go back to my hotel room and I'm like, I tell my wife and she's like, that is actually insane. So I'm like, I don't even know this guy. I don't have his number. I don't have anything. I was like, I wish I wasn't as shocked so I could have told him. So I'm just scrolling, pops up on my For You page because we're in the same space. I DM him. I'm like, yo, can we meet up after the next session? He's like, yeah. We meet up and I tell him, yo, we're actually thinking of planting in Hartford as well. He loses it. He's like, what? It would be crazy. I know you guys. I followed you guys for the last 5 years, and Hartford would be amazing for y'all. This would be incredible. All these, you need to, everything that we were like worried about and questioning, God started using him to speak to us. He's like, you guys would do amazing in Hartford. Hartford needs a couple like you guys.
Wow.
The church that God would build out of you guys. He's like, I was born and raised in Hartford. He's like, I own property in Hartford. So he starts to speak to us. And after that conversation, me and my wife looked at each other like, we're moving to Hartford. We moved to Hartford without a team. We sold our house, sold cars, everything.
So no one moved with you?
Nobody. We had 3 people that moved with us, but it was on there. We were actually telling him, no, please don't.
Yeah.
Like, we don't know what's about to happen. We don't know if this is going to go forth or not. We know that God's called us to do this and we're going to give it our all, but we're like, do not jeopardize your family and move to a whole other state with this. Like, this is brand new to us. The plans are still, coming together. And so they were like, we don't care. We're moving. We believe in what God is doing. So no team, nothing. We moved, parachute. We don't need to know anybody from Hartford at all. We've never been there. We went, sold our house, 5,000 square foot house, sold it, moved into a 1,700 square feet like space with our 3 kids. And we just started building. We just started grinding. We gave it everything we had. And we launched on April 6th. And 1,000 people showed up.
Bro, that is insane.
That's the story.
So back before you guys even decided Hartford, before your wife even got the map, was there a part of you that was like, all right, we just got a house, we're settled, we're like from Boston, we love this area. What if we plant like on another part of the city? But really quick, before we jump into that, pastors, I'm going to ask you a question. Can your church handle more new guests? If that answer is yes, then I want to tell you about Church Candy. See, at Church Candy, we help churches get more new guests on Sundays by running their Facebook and Instagram ads, inviting their city to church. We are on a mission to connect 1 million people to a local church, and so far, we have already connected over 250,000 people to churches all across the country, and we would love to send people to your church as well. Imagine all the people that drive by your church every single day that want to grow in their relationship with the Lord, that want to be plugged into a life-giving church community, but they have no idea that your church exists. We want to get them connected to your ministry, so go to churchcandy.com or hit the link below in the description. I'll also pin it in the very first comment so you can schedule a call with the Church Candy team, learn more, and see if we would be a good fit to work together. Now, back to the podcast.
Absolutely. I wanted to plant in Providence.
Yeah.
I wanted to plant closer. I was like, yo, we just bought this house. Brady, I didn't even finish furnishing the house yet. Like, the house was so huge. We had to take it floor by floor. It took us a year to finish the first floor. And then we were going to, like, it was comfortable. Like, we had roots there. And it took decades to get to where we are. We're first generation college students. Like, we're first generation pastors. We're first, like, we all, my wife and I, we're the first of a lot of things. And so that was like, man, we made it. We
Yeah.
did it. We did it. Obstacles, we fought through, we did all the things we had to do. And so I was like, I don't want to sell this house. We just got here. Like, we just settled here. And I was like, well, I want to go to Providence. But it was one of those things where it was like, the Lord's like, if you obey, if you give this up, just watch what I'll do. And it was the simple question are you going to be obedient, or are you going to hold on to what you think is good, or are you going to go after great, which requires sacrifice first, right? We were good where we are, but God's like, no, there's greatness in the horizon, but it's going to require sacrifice. And so my wife and I were just like, let's do it.
Yeah. So logistically, like I think we probably bought, like, I bought this house in 2023. Sounds like that's around when you got that house. If I'm just keeping up with like real estate markets, I know, New England's going to be a lot different than Texas. Did you guys end up like losing money on the sale of your house?
I think we
Might have broke out even or gotten out.
We definitely lost as it relates to how much we could have made if we waited to sell. But we needed to sell ASAP because we need to get to the city.
Yeah.
So it was like, it's not like I could have waited and things like that. We made money on top of it, but not as much as we could have.
Yeah.
So but there were losses, man. I mean, we sold our furniture for dirt cheap, and it was all custom furniture.
Oh.
We was like, we lost things, but at the end of it, it's like, I think the story of what we had to sacrifice for this, what God asked us to sacrifice, it connected with the people of Hartford in a different way. God needed this yes in this way to grasp the people that he grasped that come to our church. God needed this sacrifice. God needed this yes in order for Freedom City to be birthed the way that it's birthed. And so my wife and I, we just the other day, we're like, yeah, we would do this again. We don't regret it. I mean, when you think about it, Brady, it's like it's either you are in this huge house and it feels like, man, you've made it and you feel like king and queens in there. But then that can't even compare to a Sunday morning when I see a family like that's been looking for a church home, or when I see a college student that is struggling with weed addiction that's now free, or when I see like, a homeless family that comes and we get a chance to resource them and help them and be there for them. Or like, there's so many things that are happening in our church that is way more valuable, way more important, way more long lasting than a house and a car and furniture and all these different things. And for me, every single Sunday, it's my favorite day of the week. I love going to our church. I love our people. Every Sunday is a reminder that it was all worth it. I would do this 1,000 times over again. It was all worth it because of what God is doing in the city.
Yeah. I mean, you guys literally sold just about everything you owned to go plant this church. Did you have any like naysayers or people that like thought you were crazy?
Yeah, a lot. Yeah, absolutely. But when I said naysayers, it was more so people that really loved us. They were like, why are y'all leaving? Like, if you're going to plant a church, like, plant it here. Like,
why don't we just plant another Jubilee?
Yeah, like, exactly. Why don't we just do another Jubilee? Like, everybody was saying that. And it was like, part of it was like, people loved us and we loved them and we've done life with people. For our ministry DNA is family. Like, everyone is family. That's one of our culture. That's what our cultural values at Freedom City. So we've been doing that for years. There were people that were with us that we've known for like 10, 15 years, even 20 years.
So kids growing up together.
Exactly. Kids that were up in my youth ministry grew up with me and did ministry that we had to leave behind. And it was hurtful. But I think one of the things that they quickly realized when the church launched is just like, when God calls you to do something, no matter how painful it may be, you have to trust God before he shows you what it's going to be. You got to just say yes, and God is going to do it. God's going to provide, and God's going to protect, and God's going to create the future that you couldn't even dream of at all. And so it was definitely hard saying goodbye. There were definitely people who were not for it. But we knew that we had a word from the Lord. We had a confirmation. We had the blessing of our pastors, and we're like, let's give this everything we got.
So good. Let's say hypothetical, someone calls you, shoots you an Instagram DM. It's like, brother, I feel like God's calling me to plant a church. I love to see what you guys have done. Uh, what are some steps? Like, what are
Yeah.
step by step breakdown? Like, what does that look like?
So the very first thing that we did is that we made sure that we were ready to plant. And being ready to plant wasn't necessarily based on us. It was, we needed pastors and leaders that have done this and knew what it was, knew what anyone needed to plant a church in a healthy way. I wanted to make sure I was healthy, my wife was healthy, our kids were healthy, our family was ready for this. And we did not want to be the determining factor for that. And so our pastors were key in that. Our overseers were key in that. ARC was key in that. My wife and I, we have, our culture in our home is like, we are big on accountability. So before we even decide to do this, there had to be a clearance with accountability that was like, y'all ready. Like, you got this. We know you got this. And that gave us the confidence to go. So that's the first thing that I would say to anyone that wants to plant, feels like God's calling your city. Make sure that God confirms it with anyone that is, that you are under, as it relates to mentors, overseers, folks. Make sure that there are people that can vouch for your readiness, and more than one, because sometimes some people may not be able to vouch for it for their own biases, but pray that the Lord would begin to speak to those around you. There were a lot of people, a lot of new people too, that came around us when we were planting, that was speaking life into us, that really made us feel ready to do this. Because I think church planting is such a all-consuming thing. You never know, right? Are we ready for, there's all the questions, like, can we actually do this? Like, do we have what it takes to really do this? And I think sometimes it takes a seasoned pastor, or it takes a brother, a friend, or it takes an organization like ARC that you kind of get screened by to say, yeah, you guys can do this, you're ready. Oh. And then that really helps. After that, it's grind time, baby. It's just like, it's grind time. So a couple things that we did launch parties. I was doing launch parties. We were still in Massachusetts trying to sell our house. I was driving to Connecticut twice, sometimes 3 times a week, to meet with people, doing coffees and things like that. So we did launch parties. We made our announcement, I think, in August, and we started doing launch parties in September, every single month. Our first launch party, we made sure it was at a coffee shop, local space, and 50 people showed up at our first launch party. That first launch party, we made sure that our videos were clean. Social media was a huge aspect to our church. We invested in that, and we wanted to make sure our branding and things were like really, really locked in. You got to think about us, like our story, we didn't know anybody there. So everybody's first impression was it's either they knew of our ministry when we're in Boston, or they're going to see a video on social media. Yeah. That's where so if that's going to be their first impression, we had to make sure we came in clean, crisp, excellent, creative, all the things. So we made sure that we did that. Now, here's where I think growth really happened for us. So I'll give you September, 50 people showed up. That was on a Friday night at a coffee shop. The next day on Saturday, my wife and I called all 50 people, like talked to every single person that came. We didn't have a team. It was just me and her. We called everybody. Thank you for coming out.
Not text messages, not emails.
Nope. We was around our kitchen table, and we were just going in. Like, we called everybody, texted everybody, got on the phone with them, talked, gave vision and everything. And from those 50, some of them joined the church immediately, and they became part of our launch team. The next launch party we had a month later in October, 100 people showed up. And then what we did is we took the first 50, whoever joined the church from that, and then they started helping us make phone calls. We called everybody. In the month between the two, we were meeting everybody every week, whether it's Zoom calls, whether it's coffee shops. And through there, I was kind of combing through people to see who had leadership capacity, who can I bring on the team to kind of help in a leadership way. And I was asking for resumes. I was asking, are you interested? I was asking, like, what do you do for work? I was trying to see their leadership potential through it and all of that. And that's how our team began to be built. So we did that for September, October, November. And then December was when everything blew up. We did a Christmas party, which is crazy. And I'll say this to all the church planters. There's a lot, Brady, there's a lot of quote unquote rules of what to do and what not to do with church planting. But what I would say is if you have the grind and if you have the hustle and if you have the passion and the heart and the people and you sense something that could work for your city, go for it. Because we did a Christmas party and it was typically you don't do anything around Christmas because everybody's quote unquote busy. Nobody wants anything to do with you and all that.
Yeah.
It like people are either people are always traveling and things like that. I was like, man, I feel like a Christmas party would go really well for a new church. It's not a service. We're literally going to have gifts, photo ops, food, Christmas music at a dope spot. Let's invite everybody we can to this Christmas party. It's kind of like on a Friday night after work, you have Christmas.
Yeah.
Corporate's doing it. Why can't we do it? You know, that's my mentality. Like, you know, people are doing it for their jobs. People are doing it for their schools. People are doing it for the community. There's Christmas parties everywhere. So that's when everything shifted for us. We did a Christmas party and 150 people showed up.
Bro.
It was like people were bringing their friends, people were dressing up, etc. My wife got up. We all both got up, casted vision. This is who we are. This is what we do. And I think that night, like 60 people additionally joined our team.
Come on, man.
And so we kept on going. And then January, we kept on going. We did launch parties at Panera. We did the Christmas party. We did at a food hall, local food hall.
How often were you guys doing these launch parties?
Happened every month.
Every month.
And in between, we were connecting coffees and all those different things. And so that was like huge for us. So right in December when we finished that's when we actually started doing weekly launch meetings. And so we were meeting every Sunday and more vision, more training on our values and all of that. And then eventually our launch team just continued to grow. We grew our launch team to over 200 people for our launch day. And so that really kind of gave us a lot of momentum in that. We were on it. So we knew our launch team members by name. We welcomed them with open arms. I don't care who you were, what you were, where you're from. If you wanted to be on the launch team, you're good to go. We had all kinds of people. We have millionaires on our launch team. We have college students on our launch team. We have those who are struggling with homelessness on our launch team. It was a reflection of Hartford, the community, greater Hartford. And so we welcomed everybody in and loved on everybody. I did coffee with as many people as I could, casted vision and just grind. And I think, and we shared our story, the story that I just shared with you. We shared our story. I think that resonated with a lot of people. The fact that they're like, a lot of them will be like, why are you here? Like, why are you guys in Hartford? Why did you choose Hartford? You guys could have gone anywhere else. You guys could have planted in Atlanta, in Texas. Like, you guys could have gone anywhere else. Why are we here? And this answer was just simple. God sent us here, and God sent us here because of you.
Yeah.
That's just what it was. The answer was just simple. So those things, I think, really just the authenticity, the sacrifice in our story, and the fact that we were not lazy. Like, the church don't build itself. It required us every single day. The grind did not stop. We wanted to give this our all, and I think that's one of the key things that helped us out with the church.
Yeah. No, that's huge. I mean, some of the biggest takeaways is, number one, I've always heard that, like, hey, if you're planting in like January, February, March, April, like in the new year season, like in the spring season, December, just take a month off. Yeah. And like a lot of the times the church planting coaches will warn you, like, hey, just so you know, a lot of church plants lose momentum
in December.
The holidays. Yeah.
That wasn't our case, man. In November, whoever my leaders were, we did a potluck at my house.
Yeah.
And so it's like, if I'm not going to grow wide, I'm going to grow deep. It's like, but growth don't stop. We say at Freedom City, growth is our destination. Like, we are always growing.
The thing is, you set that culture, man.
Yeah.
So many people hear that and they just have this false belief of, oh yeah, the holidays, man, people aren't going to want to get involved. And so they kind of pump the brakes a little bit.
Yeah.
Whereas you guys, sounds like you kind of pump the gas.
We did a homeless shelter outreach around Thanksgiving, like 50 volunteers coming up, and we bought food, served, sat and ate with the homeless community. It was like we went in. We were not going to stop. I think, listen, This might be controversial. I don't think you get a break when you launch a church. I don't think that first year leading up, 6 months leading up to your launch, a break is what? What are we talking about? Like you got a church to plant. Like you grind it out. I think one of the things that worked for us in our family, like with my wife and I, we have our date days. So we have like on Fridays, my wife and I, that was our time together while the kids were at school because we had nobody babysitting them. It's a new city. Kids were at school. We're taking time for each other. Like we're centering ourselves, checking in. So we made sure that we had pit stops throughout, but we knew once we landed in Hartford, it was go time until that church was launched. And I think it all depends on rhythms. I think rhythms are important. So we had rest rhythms, but we weren't taking no break. No, that's not happening. It was grind time, and everybody around us knew that we were really, really focused on this, and we had souls to win. Like we were hungry for souls. Like it wasn't just about launching a large church. It was like, man, there's a city that is in need that the Lord has placed us in, and there are souls that are lost that are here, and we really felt the weight of it. Like every event, every meeting, every SOP we wrote, every training was connected to a soul. Like we felt the weight of that every single day. And so that drove us to the work that we did. And so there was no take time off. It's December. Now our family, we still enjoyed family time and all these different things. I'm not saying that we just sacrificed all that. We didn't. But we worked.
You sacrificed I would probably imagine, fantasy football or watching Netflix shows.
Absolutely.
That's what you sacrificed. Probably the endless hours of doom scrolling that so many people do. Right. That's the sacrifice you made.
Exactly.
To go in and plant the church. And you guys were really intentional. Anytime someone went to an interest party or like you got their info, it sounds like you were spending a lot of time talking with them on the phone, like really trying to make a personal connection. It seems like that resonated with a lot of people. Why do you think that was so effective?
Because I think people don't want to be a number or a name on a piece of paper. People want to share their stories. People want to feel seen. People want to feel heard. And what we notice is that there wasn't a lot of opportunity. There isn't a lot of opportunity for people to do that regularly in the context of a church, right? And so people were just shocked at our level of kindness and intentionality. So people were like, oh, you want to hear my story? Like, you want to hear about me? Really? And we're like, yeah, tell us about yourself. Like, where are you from? And we want to hear that. And then what was crazy is that when we would be in a launch team meeting, we would remember what they said. And people were like, man, I feel seen here. Like, I feel like this is a place that I belong. And that's what we really wanted to create with our launch team. That's what resonated. And when that resonated, it prompted them to invite their people. It prompted them to invite their friends, their family members to join our church. And still to this day, my wife and I, even though we've launched and it's like biggest launch in New England, all this stuff, we stand at the door of our church every single Sunday and we hug as many people. We remember their stories. We know their due date when their baby is due. We know their parents are home for a vacation and their parents live, whether it's in Jamaica, whether it's in Florida, and they're leaving. Like we know them, and I think that resonated with a lot of people, and that really, really struck a chord for them. I would say, I think everybody wants a big launch. Let's be real. Everybody wants to launch their church. Everybody does not want to launch a church that fails. I think the focus for us was not just a big launch. I would lie to you if I told you, we didn't plan to do a big launch. We don't want a big launch. That's not true. We wanted to launch a church big. I think we got to be honest about that. We wanted to launch a large church. However, we did not prioritize that desire more than we prioritized people. So we did not sacrifice people just so we could have huge numbers in an auditorium. We see people, we know, we love on people, we care for people. We will sacrifice things for ourselves just to make sure somebody else is good. That's who we are in nature, and that's part of the DNA of our church. And I think that we added to obviously great systems, structure, and all those things really fueled the growth in our church.
What do you say to people that give pushback in the church world on like, it's some of these pastors just care about the numbers?
They Only care about numbers, you're saying?
Yeah, whenever people say like, oh, they just care about the numbers, it's just that.
We care about numbers because numbers is not numbers. Numbers are soul. We've launched 3 months ago and we just crossed 600 salvations. I care about numbers. That's 600 families. That's 600 souls that are saved. That's 600 people that we just robbed hell from. That's why numbers matter to me.
Yeah.
For me, it's like I need to know numbers. Why? Because the Bible cares about numbers. God cares about numbers, and that's really, really important. I think for me, when I say, "Hey, how many people are in the room today?" I'm looking at impact. How many salvations did we get? How many families came today? How many people got saved? How many people took growth track? This is showing me impact. And I think it's very difficult for a church or anyone to track impact without knowing your metrics, without knowing your numbers. So for us, numbers, every number is a soul, every number is a name, every number is a story. I share that with my team all the time. And we need to remember, there's something that we do in our culture at our church. We do huddles, and we're obviously set up tear down, and I stay to the end of tear down. I don't leave. I show up at 6 a.m. for setup. I stay till the end of tear down. And at the end of tear down, we all stand in a circle. Everyone that's on the tear down team, everybody that stayed, and said, who do we talk to? Like, what's their story? What's happening? And people go around like, you know what? I talked to Keisha, or I talked to John, and John was looking for a church home. He moved here 2 years ago, and he feels like this is it. And John's asking for prayer because his mom is in the hospital, and he feels like he has to step in and take care of her, and he's praying that through. And we get to hear that story. John was part of the 562 that was there, but John has a story that we care about, right? And so everybody goes around and they say, yeah, I talked to this person in the lobby. You know, I talked to Brittany. Brittany's a single mom, and she's here with 3 of her kids, and she's going back to school. So if you guys see Brittany, let her know that, you know, all that. Like, that's important. It's not just the numbers, it's the stories that are connected to the numbers. It is what God is doing in and through those numbers. That's really, really key. And for me, I want to be connected to the impact. I want our church to know the impact. I want our church to know that we crossed over 600 salvations. That's huge in New England in 3 months. That's ridiculous that 600 people now call Jesus their Lord and Savior because of one couple's yes to do something that was very difficult. And this is why we focus on those numbers. I want our team, I want our dream team, I want our partners to know that this is the impact that they're having in a city that they may not even know or have ever been to, that God is doing something huge there. And so for me, I don't know how to do that without sharing the numbers and the stories that are there. So we're a huge numbers church. Yeah. We know first timers, we know attendance, we know baptism numbers, we know all of that, because that shows us the level of impact that we have.
Yeah. And you were an XP at Jubilee?
Yes.
I can tell, because you guys track the numbers, you're really good on systems, and a lot of pastors that aren't as like process driven. Mm-hmm. They're just like, hey, we're going to preach the gospel, and like, we're just going to love people. And then God's going to build it, they're going to come. God's going to work it out. And then they don't see a lot of the same fruit that you guys are seeing.
To any pastor watching, man, and listening, like, stay on your numbers. By 6 p.m. every Sunday, I get a text from our admin director that has, hey, here's how many kids were here. Here's how many people were in the sanctuary or auditorium attendance. Here's growth track numbers. Here's first timers. Here's baptisms. Here's like dream team that served. All of that, because it shows us our trends. It will, in a year, I will know what the trend of our church is. I'll know how our church is tracking. I'll know how we can help grow the church. I will know what month in the year did I get the most salvations. I'm tracking the whys, and I'm tracking where are they coming from. I'm looking at that, like, where are people coming from? Where is all that? Because that data, like, we're spirit-led, but we're data-driven. Data will drive us to where we really need to go. And if we really want to make sure that we continue to grow and impact, data will create trails for you. Data will show you, okay, well, this part of the city seems like a lot of homeless people are coming from here, and then they're getting saved. But it looks like in November and December, a lot of them are coming to church. So it's like, okay, well, why don't we now plan something during those 2 months that caters to that community? That's data that tells you that. And I think a lot of times when you lack data and information, it's like we're expecting Holy Spirit to just speak to us about some things, and Holy Spirit can absolutely do that. But we also have tools. Holy Spirit can speak to me about something else, and Holy Spirit can tell me more to add on top of that. But there are tools that are indicators of that will really help us be efficient and impactful as well.
Yeah. And so, with that, what would you say to the church planter out there that they're struggling in some of this? Like they're having a hard time building some of these processes, and that's just not like their strength.
Yeah, I think one of the things is you want to resource your weaknesses. So you want to make sure whatever your weakness is, you find some people that that's their strength for sure. Every church planter has a weakness. Like everyone has a weakness. I haven't met, and I met a lot of church planters, and they will. Everybody has a weakness. Everybody has something that they're really, really great at as a pastor, and there's something that they're not so great at. I think don't ignore it, resource it. So for me, I was terrible at fundraising. I'll be straight up. Like fundraising was not my biggest strength. And I was like, if you're gonna plant a church, you're gonna need money. So
Yeah.
what I did is that I leaned on the people on my dream team that were working in finance. I leaned on the people on my dream team that had that. And then I shared with the closest people on our leadership team, hey, this is actually a weakness of mine. And so you got to step up in this area, and I need you to activate that part of you. So we had a fundraising team on our launch team, like specific leaders. We pulled together the CEOs and vice presidents and finance people on our dream team. We pulled them together, and we were just like, okay, you know what, help out with this. And then I got with other church planting organizations that will really help. I got with some people that came in and really resourced us and helped strengthen that weakness. And so whatever you have with these processes, whatever your weakness is, find the people that are on your launch team or in your circle that's their strength, and get close to them and make sure there's a weekly conversation. I was having weekly financial conversations, like about fundraising, about budgeting, about all of that, because I knew that it was like a weakness of mine.
Yeah.
And I surrounded myself with people that would tell me the truth. I was like, here are my numbers. What do you think? Here's what we're bringing in. Here's what we're not bringing in, and to really help. And if systems or administrative stuff is a weakness, man, those admins at your church got to be your best friends. They got to be the ones that are really, really around you. You want to make sure you go through things like just different systems you can even pay for that'll help you organize yourself, that'll help you get some things together. Don't you want to resource or even hire your weakness, right? So that it could really, really be a strength.
Yeah. So you guys being in Hartford, Connecticut, it's obviously not the Bible Belt.
Right.
Church culture looks different there than a lot of other parts of the country. Did you guys get any pushback from the schools or the community with you guys planting your church?
Man, our story is actually, it gets crazier. So we had a school when we got there. We had a school that we were going to be with. And the school was one of those kind of like magnet schools, and it has like 3 schools inside of it. And then we were getting ready to sign the contract and everything. And then they sent us an email. This was probably like a couple months before we launched. They sent us an email, and they were just like, yeah, so we just got another school in our building, and it's a creative arts school, and they're going to be using the auditorium. There's no way you guys can kind of like.
Yeah.
So after approving our application, they started pushing back. And so our team got to work, and we ended up finding another school, which is where we're at right now. And that school has been absolutely incredible to us. They literally did things like buy our instruments.
Wow.
Yeah, they gave us storage, and they've just been the most amazing. Shout out to Craig. They were just absolutely incredible to us. And so and there's a lot of relationships that you have to manage as a church planter. I think one of the biggest ones is the relationship that you have with your school. And so we're on it. We've done things like, feeding the teachers in the school. We're actually getting ready to partner with them for our serve day. Just coming in to clean and organize for them. The security guard has joined our church. The janitors have joined our church. Multiple security guards have joined our church from the school. And it's something that we really, really pay a lot of attention to. And we try to steward in a really, really beautiful way. So we started out in rocky ground with a school,
Yeah.
but I think it was God kind of like closing one door so that this door can be open. And this school has been absolutely magnificent. Now, I think there are things that you go through with every school situation, right? And one of the things I share with my team all the time is just that I don't want to magnify any minor issues. This is a blessing. And so anytime that there is like minor disagreements or struggles or anything like that, we'll just be like, you know what? Let's sit down, let's talk, let's go through it, and let's continue to make it better. We don't get, and I share this with my team, we don't get stuck in the land of difficulty. It's like, okay, well, what's the solution? Let's move on. And what I realize with schools, clear communication and relationship is important. So for us, when there are no challenges or difficult conversations, it is the biggest opportunity to build. That's when we show up. We show up with T-shirts. We show up with fitted hats. We show up with coffee. We show up with all these different things, and we sit down and we talk to school officials. What's their vision for the school? This is our vision for the church. How can we partner? And all those different things. Those conversations in the down times, I think, strengthen the relationship. That makes difficult conversations so much easier. Disagreements and things like that with the school so much easier to navigate.
Yeah, it's huge, man. It's huge. I know so many church planters if the principal has a bad day,
everybody
you can the click of a few buttons or snap his finger, and then you got to find a new venue.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
You're friends with a lot of church planters.
I would say get your contract tight to that.
Yeah,
get your contract tight. So for us, we have a lawyer on our team that she really helped look through all those different things. So our contract was really airtight. Our principal can't do that.
Yeah.
Legally, they can't do that. Legally, we have about 30 to 60 days, I believe, before we have to get out of the school.
No, that's huge.
So before you get in, don't quickly sign anything and get the contract tight and give yourself some leeway time. If that does happen, that you could have at least a month or two to do that.
What are some differences that you see when you talk to other church planters as far as church culture in New England versus the South or the Bible Belt?
I think one of the biggest things, man, Brady, everybody was saying, New England, Hartford, you're about to plant a church. Good luck. Good luck to you. All these different things. And being born and raised in Boston and being at Jubilee. Jubilee's an incredible church, 6,000 people, 3 campuses. And so I knew what most people thought of New England was wrong. Yes, it may be the most unchurched area in the country, etc. However, my frame of mind was different because I was already at a successful church that was growing and thriving. So when I went to plant a church, I did not plant a church with the thought of, man, this is New England. My church is not going to be large. I went with no, I'm going to go and give this my all. I'm going to plant a church, and souls are going to come and people are going to be saved. One of the biggest things I notice is that church planters in the Bible Belt, they have a higher level of confidence, right? They have a lot higher level of resources. It's as if they believe in themselves way more than church planters in New England. And that's because it's the Bible Belt. It's everything works in the Bible Belt when it comes to church. And I think there's this stigma when it comes to churches in New England that you got to grind. It's going to be hard. Man, the winters are terrible and people in New England don't want God, etc. You're going to go there and I think Freedom City, Prayerfully, and so many other churches in New England, amazing churches in New England, in Massachusetts, in Connecticut that are doing this, is showing hey, there's a difference now. New England is not the frozen chosen. The people in New England are hungry. They want God. And if someone dares to step out on faith, work hard, and give God their yes, you'll see what God will do. We're experiencing it right now. We had our first worship night last Friday and 617 registrations.
Wow.
First worship night. It's over 30-something salvations in that. New England is hungry. People want God. And I think sometimes history can be a curse, the history of a space, and it's almost like the history of of people's thoughts and the history of what used to be. Sometimes people can hold on to it so much that it almost prevents them from stepping into what God is doing. And I think God is doing a new thing. I don't think New England is the frozen chosen space. I don't think New England is a place where it's difficult to launch a church. We will launch many churches in New England, and they will launch big, and they'll be successful, and souls will be saved. We know that's possible. We've seen it already with our own eyes, and it's just the beginning. And I'm so excited because I have, partnered and befriended so many brothers and sisters that are planting in the Bible Belt, that have planted successful churches in the Bible Belt. That's like rooting us on, like, let's go. Like, this is what I'm talking about. And so I think this new generation of church planters is breaking that mold of saying, oh, there's New England and then there's the Bible Belt. It's actually, no, it's just, there's those that are obedient and saying yes to God. There's just church planters. We're all the same. And the difference is not as vast as I think history has made it to be. And I'm glad that Freedom City has done this, because I think what Freedom City is doing is showing that this is possible. And I that was my biggest prayer too when we were launching. I said, God, use us for the next guy that's called to New England to see that it's possible, that it's not, it's not going to be a fail, that it's possible. You can do something significant and big in these days, in these modern days in New England. That was my prayer. And I think the Lord answered it. And so my prayer is like somebody would be watching this podcast and they feel called to New England, but they weren't trying to do it. And now they'll be encouraged to say, man, you know what? It's possible. I think to really answer your question, I feel like before this year, there was a lot of question marks on whether a church can be successful in New England as a church plant, where that's not the case for the Bible Belt. And I think those differences are now coming to a close, which I'm glad about, for sure.
Man, literal pioneer, brother. I think that mindset is so true in so many different aspects of life, right? You can have this false belief on what things were and just assume like, oh yeah, we can't do this because of X, Y, and Z.
Yeah.
Right. And then you have those expectations. And so now you do the work as if you're just trying to have 250 people show up on launch Sunday.
Exactly.
But you did the work as if like, no, we're trying to have 4-figure launch Sunday. We're trying to get 1,000 people there. And so that's why you guys were grinding in the personal connections, in the phone calls, in the coffee meetings, in the Zoom meetings with people on your team, those personal connections, and making those people feel seen, because so many people, the feeling of feeling loved and being seen is so similar that people oftentimes they can't even tell them apart.
Right.
And so you guys did such a good job at making people feel seen. They felt loved, and then they told their friends, and then boom.
Yeah.
You guys had an amazing launch Sunday. In the past few months, sounds like God's been just doing some amazing things.
It was a lot of prayer too. I think one of the things we say to our team, you pray like it's all God and you work like it's all you. Mm-hmm. And so for us, we prayed a lot. I mean, as much as we grind, there were at times when it was time in prayer, I'm like, God, nothing is working. If you don't do anything, this is going to suck.
Yeah.
And so there was a lot of, we prioritize prayer. We say our Freedom City prayer is our lifeline. And so we prioritized tons of prayer, and we didn't prioritize work. Like we like to say we want to pray just as much as we work, if not more, And so I think that was key for us. I say this all the time, Brady. It's like when it comes to how we launch our church and what we're seeing now, yes, we work hard. Yes, we have good systems. We have an amazing leadership team, directors, our coordinators, our dream team is awesome. The biggest thing I'd credit this to is our obedience to the Lord. I think that was, people say, hey, what do you say you did amazing? Or how did this happen? How can we duplicate this and all these?
They want a tactic.
Exactly.
Like, we did Thursday night launch parties at coffee shops. That was the secret.
Exactly. The biggest thing that I say to them all the time is, man, we just said yes. We just said yes. There was a time where I got into prayer, and where it was clear to me that, oh, this is about to be something. And I got like slightly overwhelmed. Just like, I was like, man, you're working hard for something that's finally here. Then you're like, whoa, I got slightly overwhelmed. I got into prayer and I started praying. I said, God, why me, man? Like, why me? This, why us? All these different things. And the Lord was like, it wasn't out of a space like I don't want it. It was out of a space of gratitude. Like almost like I feel like I'm not worthy of it. And I just felt Holy Spirit say to me, you weren't my first choice. You were just the first one that said yes. And that humbled me so much because at first I'm like, wait, I'm not your first choice. Could you imagine that? Could you imagine that? But it's as if the Lord's like, I've searched the land. I've asked others and they just weren't obedient. And the reason why you're seeing all of this is because you said yes to me the way that I wanted you to say yes. It wasn't just my will, it was the way. And I think the way that we planted, our story, what we gave up, all those things, the Lord needed to plant a church in a specific way that would strike a chord for the city of Hartford. And the biggest thing for us is like, it's the yes that we gave to the Lord, that the Lord just he blew on it and breathed on it. And here we are with that. That's the biggest thing I'll accredit it to, because some of the things that we are experiencing, Brady, man, it's like, this is not strategy. It's just like we're literally just turned 13 weeks. Like this is not strategy. These are things that you see in the Bible Belt. People will say this is not like systems, and it's not money. I'll be completely honest with that. This is not like, they were loaded with money. No, we were a very slim, cheap church launch. I'll say that straight up, and I'm not mad at it. Like, we launched with $250,000
in 2024,
in 2020
or 2025. Yeah.
Okay. So I'm saying this, I'm giving this because I'm not ashamed of my game. We launched with $250,000, barely. I told you like fundraising wasn't a huge thing for me, but what we did was like, listen, we don't have $1 million launch. We don't have all the money, but what we do is we got bodies, right? What we do is we have people. And what we do is we have our grind. So we didn't spend $50,000, $60,000 on mailers. We could only do $5,000, $10,000. We did it. And every single weekend before we launched, we had our dream team out there, like flyering cars in gas stations, passing stuff out malls. And that is one of the huge things that really helped our growth too as a church. It wasn't all almost like systematic touches. It was personal touches because we didn't have it. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, for us, it was, when I say it was prayer, it's like, it was prayer and the grind, man. We did not, what we saw was what looked to be a $1 million launch. When you do $1 million launch, you get 1,000 people, you get 1,500 people to show up at your church. That we were $250,000, a slim launch that we did. And I was a creative pastor, so there's a lot of things that, I supplemented that I didn't necessarily need to pay tons of money for. But I just feel like if there's anybody watching, man, that feels like I ain't got the money, I don't have the resources. If you give God your yes and you accompany that with a grind, God will do the rest.
Yeah.
For sure.
It's huge, man. It's huge. Yeah. What was your experience like with church candy?
Church candy. Why we're here, right? Church candy was amazing. Church candy literally brought us 200 people in 2 weeks. This is the craziest thing. I don't know if they told you, like, I got on the phone with church candy because a friend of mine was like, you got to do church candy. I was like, I'm 2 weeks away from launch. He sends me the email. He's like, man, you guys got to get together, et cetera, do that. I get on the phone with them. And I'm like, I'll get on the phone with you guys. I'm like, I need to get this done now. Like, I need church candy now. Like I said, we weren't a major launch. $1,000 was our church candy budget 2 weeks before launch. And in those 2 weeks, 200 people signed up to visit our church for our launch Sunday. So we wouldn't be 1,000 people launch without church candy. Church candy literally came through for us in 10 days before launch. We got all our pictures, all our stuff done, and promoting our launch was amazing.
Disclaimer, we ask for more than a 10-day notice. So
yes.
This is not advice. My onboarding team's gonna be like, Brady, that podcast with Pastor Robe, people think we can get a 1 week turnaround time.
No, actually, they told me, they were like, this is the fastest turnaround time that we've ever done in that. But that was just for our launch. We're now 3 months in, and you guys have brought us over 400 people in our church, which is like incredible. And it's a system that works. It is something that has saved us so much time. It actually saved us a lot of money, because before Church Candy, we were sponsoring our own stuff and kind of like just, narrowing things on Instagram and Facebook. But just the tools that Church Candy has and the systems that Church Candy has really begun to narrow down like the type of families and the type of people that come to our church. And so that has been really, really helpful to us. And right now we average about 30 visitors a Sunday. And so that's been a huge help to us. So Church Candy is the GOAT.
Yeah, and I think you guys make it so easy for us, because the two things that we have found that equal good results with Church Candy is, number one, good systems.
Yeah.
Right? Because we can send you a list of leads all day long.
Yeah.
But if that just sits in a CRM and no one like touches base with them, there's not going to be personal connection. Hardly anyone's going to show up. If not, anyone's going to show up. Second thing is good content. Good photos, good quality videos, the engaging stuff. And so you guys do an incredible job at both of those things. For pastors that don't know, I would love to hear in your words, explain like, what does Church Candy even do? How does it work? Like what does that look like in your context? Because I know you guys are really big on systems too.
Yeah. So in our context, what we do is we capture obviously all of the media when it comes to our church. So as it relates to pictures, videos, recaps, and all that, put it into a folder. Church Candy gets that folder, and Church Candy creates ads for us throughout Facebook and Instagram. And so those ads go out and kind of invites people to that. We actually have those ads on our website as well, where it's like, sign up for a visit or for today. And so when you click those ads, we have two services. Someone can say, I want to come to the 11 o'clock, and they sign up, they sign their kids up. And then that sends a text message from us to them. Really, it's in my voice, which is the dopest thing. That's like, hey, what's going on, Eileen? Thank you for registering to visit our church on Sunday. Can't wait to see you, etc. And so from us, our follow-up team, and our admin team, what they do is that they go in there and they connect with Eileen and say, on Sunday, we can't wait to see you, etc. I'll get in there and I'll send a video. Like before we launch, I sent videos. Like those 10 days, I was like, yo, what's going on? So excited. You signed up for our launch. Can't wait to see you. And those videos would go straight to them, and they would be texting me back. And what's amazing, because we do have like the door culture of our church, we stand up the door. So we see them. They're like, yeah, you sent me a video. I'm like, yo, what's going on, etc. And so they come and then it's pretty much planning a visit for the church. And that's been just, that personal touch is just added a whole layer of intentionality to our promo, where it wasn't just like a promo video that somebody stopped by. It was just the intentionality. What I love that Church Candy does is the language. It's curated to the area that we're in, like the language in the captions, like, hey, what's going on? Don't be alone this Sunday. Like, make sure you check out this church in your area. And your team does a phenomenal job with just choosing which images and which videos that they're going to put where and all that. That's been really, really helpful. And so in a nutshell, I think I got it all.
Yeah, that was great.
That's what Church Candy does. And then when they come, so for me, my admin director and her team, she pretty much goes into church funnels, and she will respond to everybody, and she'll make sure everything is good. She'll make sure if there's any questions, and then they'll go to our Connect Corner and all those different things. And what I love too, this is the dopest thing. Let's say you sign up on like a Monday or Tuesday to come to church on Sunday. On Saturday, you get a text from Church Candy, which is from us saying, hey, we can't wait to see you, etc. That level of intentionality is like that system. When you really break it down, if I didn't have Church Candy, you probably need like a whole team of like 5 to 7 people to do it at a church our size on a regular basis. And so Church Candy has really, really helped resource that intentionality for us.
Can you share any individual testimonies of people that found your church from Church Candy ads and then got connected to your church, and
Yeah.
then God's just done something really cool in their life?
Yeah, there's a man named Jose that came through, and actually there's another man that came through with him too, and he saw it on Facebook, and he was displaced from his home, and so we were able to connect with him. We were able to help him, and with the groceries and things like that. And I think that's one of the key things. That's like when I say it's not just numbers, it's not like Church Candy brought us 200 new people. No, like a homeless man was part of that 200 people that he was living in a hotel, lost his job, living in a motel, saw this ad on Facebook, came to our church. And while I'm at the door, he's like, hey, you texted me. I'm like, yeah. I'm like, how's it going? And he's like, yeah, I just got displaced from my home a couple of weeks ago. And I was able to connect him with somebody on our team that, hey, we want to help him. Like, that's what Church Candy does. And I think it goes back to that question you were asking about the numbers, right? It's like, for me, it's like, I'm excited. Yeah, you brought me like 200 people on launch day, but it's like, he was one of them, and he needed help. And we were able to help him. We were able to connect him with a leader. We're connecting with a group leader, and now we're checking in and making sure he's good. Actually, I think he's no longer homeless now. The update I'm getting on him. So that's all through you guys.
It's huge, man.
So
Huge.
that's and I think I do my best to stay connected to the stories, right? I do my best to kind of find that, man. Every week, everybody's like, yeah, I saw y'all on an ad on Facebook. I saw y'all on Instagram. Like, it's countless stories of people that got saved because of it. Man, there was a woman who saw an ad. I can't believe I didn't lead with this. Who saw an ad. This just happened on Friday. She saw an ad, and she came to our worship night. And so she came to the worship night, and she came to the altar for prayer. I was with her, and the altar was packed with people. So I was helping our prayer team kind of navigate and pray for people. She came with her baby, and I thought something was wrong with the baby. So I was like, you want prayer for your baby? What's going on? Just the way she was holding the baby. And she said, yes, he needs prayer. I was like, what's going on? And she shared with me that his father was just taken by ICE. And she's like, I don't have a job. He was the only one working. So I don't have diapers. I don't have money to do anything. And literally right there at that altar, it's like with tears in my eyes, we prayed. Wow. We prayed for her because she's like, I don't know what I'm going to do. I don't know how I'm going to take care of this baby. And the baby is probably like 3 months old. And so we prayed for her at the altar. God would have it that on Sunday she came back. This was 2 days ago. On Sunday, she came back to church. At our 9 a.m. service, I saw her in our church. And then so I got all of our leaders together, especially our moms. I got around her. We prayed for her. We sewed into her. We bought her diapers, bought her groceries, all these different things. And she saw us through a Church Candy ad. And now we're not just going to pray for her, but we're giving her community. Like we're helping her out. We're helping to resource her. We're standing with her. And the men in our church, the fathers in our church, they're already committed to making sure that boy does not know what fatherlessness looks like. Like, we're going to show up for him. The mothers are going to show up for her because that's what the church is. And we would not have that opportunity without Church Candy. And that's why I'm eternally grateful for our partnership.
It's huge, man. I love it. I love to see what God's doing. We're going to link to all of your socials and all of that below. If you had like one piece of advice for a church planter or someone that's listening to this that feels like God's calling them to plant a church, what would you tell them?
Give God your yes, grind, and he'll do the rest. That's it. Give God your yes, grind, and he'll do the rest. Just trust that God's got your back. And if you're going to do it, give it all you got and do it the best way you possibly can. But don't underestimate the power of your yes to the Lord. Yes is enough. It is.
So good. Robe, thank you so much for coming to Texas to be on the podcast. Let's go eat some yummy Tex-Mex or Cajun
Let's do it.
Or something. That's going to do it for this episode. Guys, go hit them up on Instagram. Follow everything they're doing. And we'll see you on the next episode.